Hello and welcome to the Out of Bounds Sports Podcast. I'm your host, back with another episode. This is episode 100. As you can see, I have a familiar face back on the show. We haven't did a show in a very long time, but I want to introduce my brand new co-host, Irvin Ruiz, back on the show. He's going to be a regular face on the Out of Bounds Sports Podcast. How you doing, Irvin?
Hey, what's up, guys? Hopefully the stash won't be a regular face on the podcast either, but we're here, guys. Excited to be here. Super excited for the opportunity. Ready to talk some sports and really just have a good time. Hopefully provide some good content for you guys.
Yeah, man. So just before we get started with the show, just tell us a little bit about how everything been going with you. How's everything been holding up with you since the last episode?
So everything with me has been great. I started my own business and construction, remodeling, things like that. And really, aside from doing all of that, sports have been my kind of like my cool down from work. I keep up with sports all the time. I watch it. I breathe it. I watch all the shows. I keep up with some articles, some teams. Obviously, kind of shout out the Saints, huge Saints fan. So it's kind of where it all started.
So, this is my 100th episode. I believe we had you on one of my 40th episodes, I believe. And from then, I mean, the show pretty much is just, grown, and I've been able to make some remarkable connections with a lot of different people. I've been able to cover different sports teams and things like this, and so I think it's more fitting to finally add more to the show and have a constant face with me on the show and things like that, because the show was created for it to have two hosts on the show, for me to go back and forth and dialogue about latest up to date sports, anytime breaking news or anything like that. So it's good to finally have that. I just want to briefly talk about that. It's a remarkable accomplishment for me to hit 100 episodes, and really excited about that. Now let's get into some NFL. One of the biggest things that that's been shaking up the NFL, we talked about a little bit off air, was the Aaron Rodgers situation. Now, I'm gonna say my piece about it, and then I'm gonna ask you exactly what you think about this whole entire situation. Now, if you're familiar with what happened in the NBA with Kyrie Irving, he basically said exactly what he felt about the vaccine. He said that he was not going to get it because he didn't understand, everything about it, which is fine. He was willing to accept his consequences. He didn't try to, manipulate the public or anything like that. He flat out said he wasn't going to get it, and he was willing to accept those consequences. Now, Aaron Rodgers, he kind of manipulated the whole entire narrative about him getting the vaccine, about him being immunized. Now, how do you feel about his word usage of that? And then how do you think versus Kyrie Irving, who definitively said that he wasn't going to get it and he was willing to accept those consequences? And then you have Aaron Rodgers. Finally, they brought down his punishment, and then he quotes Dr. King.
So let's take it one step at a time. Let's start with the COVID thing, because I want to separate the COVID thing from the Dr. King situation that just happened. First and foremost, Aaron Rodgers, to give you guys some context, I've always been a fan of the guy from a talent perspective. One of the best players to ever touch the football, to ever throw the football. I can't say enough about the guy, talent-wise, and it's why I know that a lot of people in the sports industry kind of took this as a hit because of the way that we all view him. He has such a high praise in the public. People look up to him. Quarterbacks coming in the league. Anytime anybody brings up top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers is on that list. So for me, one of the biggest issues I had with Aaron Rodgers was the fact that I don't care what he calls it. I mean, he flat out lied. I mean, in the context that the question was asked in the first place about him being immunized, and the fact that he was like, he had to kind of change the verbiage there, right? The question was, are you vaccinated or not? And instead of saying, he could have easily just said yes or no, right? But it's that ego that everybody keeps talking about, that selfishness about him, that he just had to eliminate himself from that, from standing for what he believes in, right? Instead of standing with the crowd of, hey, I don't want to be vaccinated. Instead, he took it upon himself to be like, to cause some sort of confusion with everybody, right? But of course, he said, I'm immunized. And that kind of, in the eyes of everybody, that meant, okay, he's vaccinated, right? And for me, one of the biggest issues with that is that you have people like Kyrie Irving who are standing up for what they believe in 100%, and they're being honest about it. At the end of the day, not everybody's going to agree with what he's saying or what he stands for, what he believes in, his reasons for not, wanting to be vaccinated. But at least Kyrie had the nerve, had the gut to go out there and tell the public the truth and face the criticism that came with that. And Aaron Rodgers, it's like you've been in the eye of the public forever. These are the things that come with being in your position. This comes with those $1 million checks you sign. This is all a part of it. If you can't give the media, if you can't give them an honest answer, and I speak it from more than just giving the media an answer, you're giving the people that look up to you an answer of where you stand. And for me, just flat out lying about it and then trying to subject his teammates, the ones that didn't get vaccinated, and still kind of saying, oh, I don't know about those guys. It's like, come on, man. You're with them. And if that didn't cause some tension in the locker room afterwards, after what happened, then obviously we probably would never hear about it. But a lot of people, right, a lot of the young receivers, young people on the team probably say, oh, I'm not going to say anything because that's Aaron Rodgers. That's Aaron Rodgers. Why would I say something? That's Aaron Rodgers. We're winning, right? At the end of the day, in those teams, those things, we don't know what's going on. There's a lot of big things on the line. Who knows? Maybe the teammates turn the other way just because, hey, that's Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's going to take us to a Super Bowl, right? And for me, the fact that he had a chance to redeem himself, right, to go on the Pat McAfee show and say, hey, guys, this is what I meant, and I'm sorry that I said immunized, but this is how I meant it. I don't want to get vaccinated, and just give us a clear-cut answer, right? But instead, we get filled with just basically just deflecting the question even more and just making everything more confusion. And then he went as far as to compare his situation with what Dr. King was talking about in his times. And that was just, to me, I am no longer an Aaron Rodgers fan after that. For me, a player who wants to bring up something as powerful and is just gruesome of what was going on in those times, and what people were facing in those times, people who were getting chased by dogs, people that were getting like fire hosed for standing what they believed in, for him to go sit in his mansion and say that on a podcast over something that you could have taken the criticism like everybody else did. I don't see Carson Wentz having an issue. And Carson Wentz was like one of the biggest names out in the offseason because he didn't – I mean, for once, his whole switch of positions between Philly and Indy, but he was a big name. He didn't want to get vaccinated, so what happened? He followed all the protocols, followed everything. He's fine. Kirk Cousins ain't either, right? They came out and said it. They faced the criticism that came with it. And it's like, hey, Mr. Discount Double Check, do you think that with all the money you've made, all the power you have, all the influence, the least you could do for all the people, all the young quarterbacks out there that look up to you, least thing you could have done is kept it 100, right?
Yeah, I mean everything that you mentioned about it, I understand it from a fan perspective. I mean, I love watching Aaron Rodgers play. I mean, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He did win one Super Bowl. It's been a long time, but he did win one Super Bowl. He's mentioned up there with the greats. But this situation does put a blemish on his. If you're not for the vaccine, just say it. Yeah, there are going to be some people you're going to lose fans, but that's the risk that you take for standing on what you believe in. And I'm not going to put my opinion about the vaccination or anything like that because it's not the type of show this is. But I'm a firm believer if you believe in something, stand on it. and own it. And he didn't. And these are going to be the consequences he's going to have to suffer. Um, I don't see how he comes back from that. Um, does him winning the Super Bowl in Green Bay kind of soften the blow? I don't know, but you know, for me, like I said, just stand up for what you believe in. If that's what you believe in, just own it. And we're gonna leave that topic at that. Um, More around the NFL. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love got his first start. Didn't look particularly well, but we saw some flashes. What do you think about Jordan Love and his ceiling? And do you think that he's going to put any kind of pressure on Aaron Rodgers anytime soon?
I think the narrative behind Jordan Love is only going to get the attention and the coaching that Aaron Rodgers wants the Green Bay Packers to give him. That's just my perspective based on how everything is unfolded, based on his performance. Jordan Love's been sitting out for a while, man. At this point, he he's got to he I just feel like the game wasn't necessarily all on him, right? I feel like a lot of it had to do with how the coaching went down, and I admire Matt LaFleur for going out there and taking some of that blame from himself, because I think he does deserve some of that blame, a lot of it, because to me, you're sitting behind a Hall of Fame quarterback, right? And everybody's eyes, we all think this is the perfect learning experience for Jordan Love, right? What did what play did we see them run? Almost we saw this player being ran a lot. What was it? The fade to Devontae Adams, right? How many times did he attempt that pass? How many times did he attempt that pass? If I'm Matt LaFleur on the sidelines and I'm calling that play and I see twice that he just absolutely just didn't happen, right? I mean, you could also say that maybe it's because Jordan Love doesn't get enough time with Devontae Adams and things like that. But to me, based off of his performance, I'm not putting it on Jordan Love. I'm putting it on Matt LaFleur. I'm putting it on the Packers, because at the end of the day, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, to me, that's how much they're giving it. That's how much they're investing in a Jordan Love. And I don't know if you saw this, just to add more insult to injury, of where they had his mother's sitting at the game.
I saw it. Yeah, I
Like,
did see it.
come on, man. Really? Nosebleed? Like, you make Packers are worth billions, right? Jordan is worth millions. And you get them nosebleeds to see him for the first time. So that's why I'm not putting the blame on Jordan Love that much in this case. I'm putting it on the Packers organization, Matt LaFleur. I think that Jordan Love, and this might be a bold statement, but I think that if Jordan Love wants to really develop his career, I don't think he's going to be with the Packers. At least not right now. While it's Rodgers land.
Well,
That's pretty much how I stand.
when you look at the situation that happened in the offseason, with Aaron really, being Aaron, pitching a fit, not showing up to training camp, getting a new deal. It wasn't really a deal that had to involve, more money. It just really just, buys him time to be able to decide on his future afterwards when it comes to the Packers and if he want to move on. Um, from what I did see, I don't see Jordan Love challenging Aaron Rodgers for that position. And Aaron Rodgers still holds the leverage in Green Bay. And I personally think the Green Bay Packers are afraid of Aaron Rodgers. They knew that he was not vaccinated. They knew that he was going around, doing everything against the NFL's protocol, health and safety protocol. They've seen him doing it, and they said nothing. And I think that while he's winning football games, while they're still successful behind Aaron Rodgers, and they know they don't have anything in Jordan Love, they're walking on eggshells. They're letting him get away with whatever he wants to get away with. But to answer my own personal question, I don't see Jordan Love challenging Aaron Rodgers anytime soon. And they're going to have a big problem in the hand come the offseason if they're not where they want to be at the end.
Yeah. I 100%. I mean, we agree in that case. I mean, the everything that he's getting away with, everything. I mean, and the fact that I don't know a couple weeks ago in one of the interviews about how the game played out between him and Matt LaFleur. I think it was with the Cardinals. I think it was the game with the Cardinals that he said that. Yeah, well, Matt called the first play and then afterwards called the rest of the game. And as you can see, I mean, it's a Rodgers show right now. It's the Rodgers show, but much to the credit of a lot of the other sports analysts out there is you don't really know what's going on in the organization anymore because what's to say that they let him get away with this? What else could be going on? Maybe he lied about what's going on in Green Bay. You know, maybe everything that's going on, like there's just so many unanswered questions now just because of the whole lying situation, deflecting the questions, and we're really obviously as public probably never going to understand what's going on in that situation. But fortunately for Jordan Love, his time isn't coming anytime soon with Aaron Rodgers there. The other thing is that Aaron Rodgers is also creating the case of whether he decides to stay or leave. He's going to make it hard for another team to want to pick him up because you're taking on a lot. You're taking a lot of baggage. You're taking on a lot. You're taking on this diva that wants to run everything, and I don't see a lot of the teams right now that are in a position to win going after somebody like that to represent their organization. Now, obviously, the stats talk, the talent talks. Talent is king, right? However, I just don't see any of the organizations with coaches that aren't going to deal with it really take on a player like that. And at this point, I think he pretty much is staying in Green Bay at this point, and Green Bay should take advantage of the situation and get some leverage on him. But again, that's just because what Rodgers is doing right now is getting out of hand.
Yeah, I personally don't see him leaving Green Bay. I mean, I just feel like this was some kind of ruse or whatever, just to get respect. I think that he feel like he was disrespected by the move for them not to run by the draft pick of them trading up to get Jordan Love. Jordan Love didn't pan out. They got Matt LaFleur. And one of the things that I did hear that they said that Mark Murphy did come to Aaron Rodgers and told him, don't be the problem when we get this new head coach. And I just feel like he just feel like he just, went to pouty mode and really, you know, he's looking for that respect from this organization that because he feel like he's been disrespected. And I don't really ultimately think that he's gonna go anywhere. I think that he's gonna end up staying in Green Bay. They're gonna, make up, and that's gonna be the end of that. It's just how he just all about drama, 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 drama. And for me, I just want to talk about football. I want to, only concentrate on football, but all these narratives and all these, different things that, that comes up. I mean, it just takes the air out of the football. You just want to, just really just want to, concentrate on just the football game. All these other things I care less about. But moving on, I know that you don't really want to talk about this, but I'm going to bring up your New Orleans Saints. Talk to me.
Uh,
What I know that Jameis went down against Tampa. That was a big win. Trevor Simeon did step up, and got them the victory. But then the next week they lose to the bottom feeding Atlanta Falcons. Um, Talk to me about that and how your outlook with Trevor Simeon, and do you think that they might need to make a switch at quarterback before they start sliding down the right now they're doing really well, but you want to make sure they keep that momentum going into the playoffs.
hmm. Well, here's a bold statement from a Saints fan: is I just don't see the hopes for the playoffs in the Saints this season, and it's simply because of multiple factors, and I'll try to break it down in three steps. And the first starter and the most obvious being is just the quarterback play. Quarterback play is huge. I think Sean Payton's a great developer of quarterbacks. He took Drew Brees on even when Drew Brees wasn't all that great going to New Orleans. I mean, he really wasn't in pace to be a Hall of Fame quarterback when he showed up to New Orleans. So Sean Payton deserves a lot of credit. Even with what Winston was doing, Sean Payton deserves an immense amount of credit. You saw quarterbacks like Teddy Bridgewater make an impact for the Saints for a little bit. You saw Taysom Hill for a little bit. Um, but ultimately, the Saints are going to go as far as Sean Payton wants them to go, and I say that with a grain of salt because Sean Payton, obviously one of the best coached in the NFL, and his play calling, offensive schemes, everything, top tier. However, obviously now that we hit the reset button in the organization since we lost Drew, it's kind of tough for him to develop that same kind of trust. I think Winston was in a good pace. I think that after that Bucks game, or maybe even during that Bucks game, Sean Payton was gonna let Winston take a little bit, throw the football, air it out a little bit more than just taking the check downs, easy 5 yard, 10 yard passes, and ultimately that's all he can really do with Trevor Siemian. He just can't. He has to develop a whole new stage of trust with a whole new quarterback, and obviously he doesn't have the greatest resume either, and we can talk about our defense, right? We easily have a top 5 defense in the NFL. However, defense can't do it all. We need an offense to score some points. Obviously, the Michael Thomas blow is huge, huge blow. I mean, even as a Saints fan, man, I was counting the days. I was Googling, I was researching as much as I could to see when Michael Thomas is going to come back because he was eligible since the Seahawks game to come back. So, and I know there was some offseason drama between Michael Thomas and the Saints, and everybody's going to have their own story. And now with mental awareness being another factor of how players can almost take that on as kind of like an injury, and I don't have a problem with that. Mental health is a huge thing, and I understand from the perspective of it, but I also have to look at it from a business perspective. And at the end of the day, right now the Saints have a receiver core based on practice squad players and just really guys that are stepping up, and it's not going to be enough, right, to take on the teams that are true playoff contenders, the check downs, the 10-yard passes, the 5 yard. It's just not going to be enough to take on those playoff contenders. I mean, Drew Brees did it because he was doing it at an elite level. He had some experience in the game. Yeah, he was falling off the last couple seasons, but I'll still take old man Drew over Trevor Siemian right now. And so, Saints, I have a lot of hopes for them. I just don't. After the loss of what happened with the Falcons, I just don't see them making it in the playoffs. We had some hope, right, after we took down the Bucks in a huge game. Got that win against them. Obviously, it's a huge mismatch whenever we play them. So I definitely agree there.
All right, I'm gonna throw a couple things at you about the Saints, and I know you probably heard about a couple of
Gi-
them.
Give me
So
1 second. I'm gonna need you just to edit this part out. I'm so sorry. Hold on.
we're gonna take a quick break, real quick, and wait till Irvin gets back. All
Alrighty.
right.
Sorry, my
So
wife got home and I had to open the door. I had like both dead bolted it.
yeah, I understand. So there's two different moves that has been out there that they've been kicking around about the Saints, but I want to talk about the first one, and we're gonna kind of walk into the second one. What do you think about the Philip Rivers talk to the Saints?
I don't like it. And I'm going to tell you something, and I might be biased as a Saints fan for the Phillips Rivers talk because that's like a slap to Drew Brees' face, man. That's the guy that took his job over the Chargers. And I get it, things happen. To me, though, that's a slap to Drew Brees' face if you throw Philip Rivers in there, man. I just can't do it. And again, this is just bias from a passionate Saints and Drew Brees fan. Like, I just couldn't see Rivers out there. And to be honest, at this point in his career, like, at the end of the day, Sean Payne's going to end up doing the same thing. Take the check down. Take the check down. Take the check down. You know, at least Travis Simeon's got there's a little bit more room there. A little bit more room, a little bit more of a deep ball. I just uh I just can't. And I'll be biased. I'll say that I'm biased on that one. And just the disrespect to Drew Brees in that sense of bringing on Philip Rivers for me is just the deal breaker.
All right. Second one. What about Odell Beckham Jr.?
Look, and I say this with the utmost respect for Michael Thomas, right? There's already some drama going on right there at the Saints. I love OBJ. I think OBJ could be great. However, uh, it's tough to bring on a player that brings on that kind of drama to him. And to be honest, I don't think that OBJ would be doing himself any just coming to the Saints, because at the end of the day, right now and for a while, we're not going to be a team that slings the football. We're not going to be a team that's going to throw him the football, deep passes, deep threat, whatever he wants. You know what I'm saying? I just, in that perspective, I just don't see OBJ and the Saints coming to terms, and for those reasons.
I think that if he does go to a team, which in my opinion the Saints would fit, I know you disagree, but he would have to have a bona fide head coach, a good tight locker room, and I feel like this would be the move. But y'all don't have a quarterback right now, and that's the only thing that I would be leery of. Like, who would be throwing him the football? Y'all can't live and die with Trevor Simeon right now. I would be simply trying to figure out what move can we make. And now, if Jameis was back there, even with Jameis, they still wouldn't letting him just throw the football. They wouldn't letting him push the ball down the field like we know Jameis likes to do, because Jameis does have a turnover problem. And I know Sean Payton wanted to try to cut that down. So you see him, checking it down, not really pushing the ball down the field and things like that. But I do like Odell pick for y'all, but then also you would have to address that quarterback situation before you looking to bring in Odell, because he, like you said, he's gonna want the ball. That's one of his biggest issues in Cleveland. I don't think he's washed. I don't think that he's a bad football player. I don't even think he's a locker room distraction or anything like that. A lot of people keep making this up, this narrative that Odell is a locker room problem. I really haven't really, heard him speak up about that situation. I mean, I heard it was about his dad and, with the video and things like that, but I didn't really hear anything from, Dale when it came to that situation. I mean, I think he handled it as professional as he possibly could, but it didn't work out. He's out. He's a free agent. And, hopefully he can get on a team, and hopefully he can get on a contender. Another team that I did see, the Chiefs. I think that that'll be a great move for Odell, just because if you have, I know he'd probably be better than Miko Hardman. So number one receiver is going to be Tyreek Kelsey. I mean Tyreek Hill, and then you have Travis Kelsey. So they're going to roll coverage to to Tyreek Hill, and they're going to have to protect everything underneath when it comes to Travis Kelsey. So all those other balls and things like that, they're going to leave Odell one-on-one. So I think that even though with Patrick Mahomes struggling, I think that it'd be a good fit if he was able to land with the Chiefs.
I agree. I agree with OBJ to the Chiefs. One of the things that nobody's talking about during the season right now is the Chiefs traded Sammy Watkins, right? And I think the Chiefs are missing some Sammy Watkins right now, because Sammy was that second receiver. He was that guy that got open. He had some speed to him. He had some dependable hands. Sammy Watkins was something that brought that second threat to the Chiefs team, because when Tyreek was being double covered, when Travis Kelsey was being double covered, you always had Watkins in there, right? You had Watkins on a deep ball. You had Watkins out there. And I just don't think that Miko's it. I just think that Miko's had his shots. He's been dropping balls. He's been having struggles getting open. I think that when you say OBJ to the Chiefs, I think that would be a really, really good upgrade in that receiver core to really give them a dual threat, another threat in that offense. Because at the moment, the Chiefs are struggling, and even myself as a pretty big Mahomes fan, It's getting tough. It's getting tough. I know that everybody hasn't counted them out yet, but with their performances so far, it's pretty tough. And I think OBJ, I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have a good understanding of what OBJ wants. I think that's exactly the kind of player that would fit into that offensive scheme. But we'll see. Ultimately, it's up to OBJ and what he wants to do, where he wants to go. And I'm assuming he's going to want to go somewhere where they're true contenders. And
Yeah, absolutely.
that's the only thing I see with the Chiefs being an issue is that maybe OBJ, depending on what he believes or not believes in the Chiefs, that might be the only factor I see there. But I think that'd be a good pickup for the Chiefs, who are struggling right now on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you on that, and I would love to see him land on a contender and really, prove the naysayers wrong, and have a bounce back year. And I would love to see him be successful. I like his game. His first action that I've seen ever was that catch against my Cowboys, and he took off from there, and haven't really heard too much about him. After short stints in Cleveland, and then he had the longer stint in New York, and just really want to see him, thrive and be successful. I think that he can provide a lot of spark for a team that's in need of a piece. So more to come with that. So we're gonna be really checking to see exactly who he's gonna land with. I mean, he's clear to sign with anybody at this point. But last but not least, we're gonna talk about the Dallas Cowboys. You had a lot to talk about on yesterday when we talked about the Dallas Cowboys. Um, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, I want to take a crack at this first. I just think that we got a little bit too cute with the record. I think that we um, really did take the Denver Broncos seriously. I think that Dak maybe could have used another week off, just to rehab that calf a little bit more because he didn't look particularly well throwing the football. He didn't look comfortable in the pocket. The offensive line, just penalties kept mounting up, mistakes, mental mistakes, and things like that. It just, I mean, we're you can go everywhere with this situation. The defense couldn't get off the field. You giving up 190 yards to Melvin Gordon. You know, um, the secondary was exposed. I mean, I knew that we had some holes in the secondary. I'm high on Trayvon Diggs, but as far as him being this elite shutdown corner, I still think that there's still a lot to be desired when it comes to him. I still think he has a lot of growing to do when it comes to his play. But I think we needed this game to wake up because if we're gonna make any kind of serious push, we're gonna have to see exactly what we have. And this was, go back to the drawing board for them to get a little bit more innovative because they started to be kind of one dimensional. What are your thoughts on that? Were you able to catch the game?
Yeah, I saw the game. I saw most of it up until I think I told you this, the 4th and 1. I thought Dak had some daylight to run for the first down, and maybe the injury in the calf maybe prevented him. Maybe he double thought about it, and he decided to sling it to CD and overthrow a open receiver. And I think the Cowboys. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button on the Cowboys. How everybody, I think a lot of people after that game were kind of doubting the Cowboys and having some kind of like wake up call. But it's a young team. I agree with you in the sense of them just really getting cocky and just not really reading just the Broncos for the record, right? I think that the Cowboys that they have a lot of growing to do, but at the same time, I think it all starts with Dak Prescott as the leader because Mike McCarthy is not the leader in that team at all. Because
Absolutely.
if Mike McCarthy was the leader in that team, they would have came out of the locker room with their butts chewed out, huffing and puffing, ready to get back out there and freaking play some football, right? And that's definitely not what we saw. Yeah, you could blame it on the call, the punt block call, and that lost momentum. But at the end of the day, hey, it's a championship. Championship teams make adjustments. Championship teams can't just let, oh, one play killed our momentum, the game's over. That's not how it works. The game does not end right? Until the clock's 0, 0, 0, 0, right? That's when the game ends. And for me, at the same time, I also don't want to completely put on Mike McCarthy, because at the same time, Dak Prescott, Zeke, um, what's it called, Zach Martin. Some of these veteran players on the Cowboys team have been through this from Dak's rookie season. We remember Dak and Zeke's rookie season. They were steamrolling. They were high on life. Everything. Hey, these veteran players need to step up. Tell these young guys, hey, you can't get caught up with the wins. Just as well as we could be on top, next week could be down below. Yeah, in the NFC race at the end of the day, because there's only one bye week this week, there was some good things that played out this week, even for the Cowboys, in the sense that the Rams also took an L, the Packers took an L. Obviously, thanks to my Saints, the Buccaneers took an L. So now, really, with the Cardinals on top, it's a very, very tough competitive league, and I think it's up to Dak and the rest of those veteran players to make sure that they're checking these young guys, and make sure that they're going out there. But this game, and I'm glad that Dak went out and said it. It was definitely on Dak. There's a lot of overthrown opportunities, a lot of things that he just wasn't firing on full cylinders, and yeah, maybe he didn't want to go out there and play. But at the end of the day, if it's a healthy Dak Prescott, or a semi-healthy Dak Prescott that thinks he can go play, and he cleared all the protocols for him to go out there and play, he's going to go out there and play.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I feel like Cooper Rush was the hot guy, going into this game, and I think I would have probably went on ahead and started him again, just to see exactly what we have, and just to get Dak some little bit more time to rest that calf. That's just my opinion. But like you said, if Dak's ready to go, he's clear, they're gonna roll Dak out there. But he did not look good. We can argue back and forth. But I think that this was probably his worst game of his career. And that's just, and he's had some stinkers before. This was the worst. 79 yards of total offense in the first half. I mean, that's just not good. That's just a recipe for disaster. Um, Denver possessed the ball a lot longer. They ran the football well. The defense didn't, held up. The offense didn't turn the ball over. I mean,
Agreed. Pro Football Focus graded him a 48.3.
Oh,
so,
man.
yeah, you can kind of try to, I'm sure somebody go back and see what all his grade on his performances are. But yeah, the last two touchdowns of the game, just empty stats.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. We're gonna shift our focus on the NBA. We was talking about a little bit about the Los Angeles Lakers and their struggles and things like that. I'm really, really a diehard Laker fan, and you had a lot to say when it came to that. Now, we might have some issues, but I do see some bright spots, and we are banged up. LeBron has been out for a few games and things like that. We're not making any excuses, or anything like that. But I do feel like the Russell Westbrook experience has not taken off the way I thought it would take off. He's turning the ball over a lot, and we're just not recovering from it. You turn over the basketball, the pure essence, these possessions are key. If you're turning over the basketball, you're turning over the game. You're creating extra possessions for the opposing team. That's just the bare minimum that I can just explain when it comes to, just basic basketball fundamentals. You can't turn over the basketball in the NBA. He doesn't shoot the ball well. Not efficient. So he doesn't play defense. What I don't know. I don't know. I just don't. I've scratched my head. I've talked to a lot of different people about it, but I have no answers. I don't exactly know what this is gonna lead to, because it's just not good. It's not a good product. Um, Obviously, as a Laker fan, I wanted it to be good. We had a deal in place to get Buddy Hill, and he's shooting a lot out for right now. He's shooting 43% from the 3 point. You know, but I think the Russell Westbrook, he's just gonna have to control his emotions and try to keep the basketball with the Lakers as much as possible and not turn it over to the other team. Carmelo Anthony has turned back the hands of time. Love the way he's playing. I got an opportunity to check him out on Instagram, and he was basically when he was out the league for that duration of time. It was good to see him still steady grinding, still in the gym, putting up shots and things like that. And he's pretty much revamped his game. He's shooting really well, and he's been his only bright spot that I've been able to see. But what do you think about that?
I agree. I was gonna wait for you to finish, and I was gonna give out the biggest Buddy Hill chant ever, man, because I can't agree enough with you. Uh, Russ right now, these deficits, these points that you guys have been giving up, these leads you guys are getting 26, 16, 20 points. Like, it's just, it all starts with the turnovers. It's just demoralizing, man. This last game, he had a turnover where he literally bounced the basketball off of his foot and it went out of bounds. Russ is a problem right now. Russ is a big problem, and I hate to say it right now, but it's seeing when it's one of those things where it's either going to click closer to the end of the season, like almost near the end of the season, almost playoff time, or this could be just an early sign that it's just not going to work out. And much credit to LeBron. He's still going to be involved in the team. He's still going to be at every game. He's still going to be there on the bench, and he can control whatever he can control from the bench. But it's not the same as you being out there, being the floor general that he is. He's not going to be able to out there. He's not going to be able to have control of Westbrook. He's not going to be able. Yeah, he'll be able to tell him on the bench, like, "Hey, man, we need to calm down a little bit. We need to calm down. We got the lead. There ain't no need for none of that bull jive over there. There ain't no need for us to be throwing half court passes, for us to be trying to drive the basketball with four people in the paint. Like, there's no need for that. There's no need for that. And at the same time, it's like Melo is out there balling. Like, he was hot. I think he was shooting 60, 64, 69% from the field the other day. Like, Melo, like you said, he came out like a second coming of Melo. He's out there showing he deserves to be on that big billboard with the stars of the Lakers just as much as anybody else on that team does. He's putting on for that team. And at the same time, I hate to say it, but I gotta say it, Westbrook, the only way I think it happens is, which is never going to happen because Westbrook's never going to be coming off the bench, but I think he's got to come out the bench with the shock troops if they want to make it happen. And at the end of the day, it's just another selfishness thing. Like, he's going to have to really gut check himself and say, how bad do I want to put a championship on my resume? To what extent am I willing to go? Right? And LeBron is clearly, he's showing signs of his age. He's obviously getting injured a lot. I mean, we don't know, right? His current abdomen injury going on right now, he's going to be sidelined for a while. And we don't know when he comes back. And like I said, that might affect giving us a clear narrative of what this team could be. But the injuries, both now LeBron having an injury thing, and now AD with his constant injury history, and come closer as the games continue to stack on their bodies. I mean, at some point, we can almost expect to see Westbrook out there by himself without AD and without LeBron. Hopefully not, right? Because we see what can happen. But I think the Lakers have some soul searching to do, and at the end of the day, that team is going to go as far as LeBron wants to take it, and as much as he's willing to push it. So,
yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I mean, it's going to be very tough. And I was really bullish on my opinion about how this team was going to. I mean, they're just guys that we're used to. They're stars that we're used to seeing over the years and things like that, and they just put it all together. And it's just not working out the way we thought it was going to work out. But I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that this comes together because I mean, I would love to see Carmelo Anthony win the championship. I'd love to see Russell Westbrook win the championship. Um, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good. We can talk about coaching. We can talk about rotations. We can talk about turnover. We can talk about lack of defense. But I mean, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face. But the Lakers are going to have to figure this out. And been injury issues now at the beginning of the season. It's really just starting to look like last season. Last season was the same thing. LeBron was dealing with injuries, AD was dealing with injuries, and the team just basically couldn't string together wins. All the former Lakers that we traded away and they're playing for different teams, they're doing well. And they couldn't do that for us. I just don't understand that. It makes no sense to me. It just the way it happens, I guess. Well, Irvin, I want to thank you for getting on here, and I want to thank you for our new partnership, and hopefully we can bring some amazing content to the Out of Bounds audience and things like that. Bringing you on and getting your perspective is definitely going to have a boost to the show. Just tell everyone about yourself, and then we're going to wrap up the show after that.
Okay, so my name is Irvin. I'm 24 years old, and I really just enjoy everything to do with sports. For me, sports is more than teams. For me, sports is a way of seeing people with these amazing gifts go out and really just put on this show for us, and I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful for all the athletes that go out there. I don't take any of the athletes for granted just because they make X, Y, and Z amount of money. I just, for me, sports in general, when you put it in the grand scheme of things, it's just something really, really beautiful. You get to see these amazing athletes. You get to see kids come out from nothing and completely change everybody's lives, and they turn into these amazing people that help communities and shape the world, and it's all a part of the sports. And I think sports is a great way to come together. Definitely brings some more love than it does hate, unless you're talking about rivalries. And for me, right now, my little girl and my wife pretty much take up my whole time. And this is something that I'm so thankful to Corey for bringing me on. I'm so thankful for him letting me do my thing. I apologize for my sniffles. I'm recovering from some bad pneumonia. I hate it. I'm sorry. You guys had to deal with me on this one for it. But I'll try to get rid of them and do something next time so that I don't have them. But I can't explain. I'm so excited for what's to come. I can't wait to have a platform and have somebody to talk to about all these things that I get to see day in and day out in the sports industry. Thank you, Corey. I really, really appreciate the opportunity, and I hope you guys are ready for some awesome content because I'm ready.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for coming on. And we're looking to get a schedule together. More to come on that. But I want to thank everyone that stayed up with us tonight. We're gonna be back on this again. We're gonna cover more sports. We have a new dynamic duo on the Out of Bounds Sports Podcast, and can't wait to get started. I want to thank everybody again. Make sure you subscribe to the Out of Bounds Sports Podcast. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Same thing, Out of Bounds, everything. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Hit that subscribe button.
If you love the Out of Bounds Sports Podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Until next time.